Hi, I'm Michelle Begue with a look at what's happening in Latin America now. But first, our news trivia. Which Latin American country unveiled a climate clock to count down the days that are left to reach climate goals? We'll have the answer later. A high-profile shooting took place this weekend in Ecuador. The mayor of the port city, Manta, Agustin Intriago, was shot and killed. A young female football player, Ariana Chancay, who was speaking to the mayor during the shooting, was also killed. 4 others were injured. The crime is part of a wave of violence triggered by criminal organizations in Ecuador. Over the weekend, clashes broke out in Guayaquil's penitentiary, Ecuador's largest prison. By Monday, the number of dead reached 30. Some 90 prison guards were taken hostage in jails across the country. In other prisons, groups of inmates declared hunger strikes. The government ordered a state of emergency in 3 provinces and also the entire penitentiary system. This allows the military and police to step in. Officials say the country's violence is due to growing gang wars linked to narco-trafficking. Argentina is trying to shake up its economy in a bid for IMF funds. The government will introduce a new preferential exchange rate exclusively for agricultural exports and levies on imports. The aim is to lower the currency's value without affecting inflation. The weakening of the peso is said to be part of a hard-fought deal with the International Monetary Fund to release delayed portions of a $44 billion loan program. Argentina has spent the last 3 months negotiating with the IMF as the country has failed to abide by the deal made for last year's restructured debt. Now let's go to Mexico with my colleague Al Baverstock, who has a special report.
Tim Shattuck was a day from death during his attempt to cross the Pacific Ocean in a 30-foot catamaran from Mexico to Australia. Picked up by a deep-sea tuna boat which spotted him by chance 2,000 kilometers from land, the day following his rescue, Tropical Storm Calvin blew through the Central Pacific, a proto-hurricane that would have sunk him. Very few yachts of his size make the Pacific crossing every year, a challenging voyage for even the most experienced sailors, even knowing that if they get into trouble, chances of rescue are slim. The 54-year-old says the fatigue from the physical demands of solo sailing simply got the better of him. But now back on dry land and recovering in Mexico, he says his sailing days aren't over, but that in the future he may simply try to limit his ambitions.
Now let's check out what stories we're following for next week. First, in Colombia, we're following an investigation looking into why 2 chimpanzees were killed after escaping from a zoo in the city of Pereira. When authorities failed to subdue them with tranquilizers, they were killed. Their initial escape had caused panic, as the immensely powerful primates posed a threat. Citizens were warned to stay indoors, but with their death, a wave of shock and sadness arose. Authorities are trying to examine what are being called human mistakes. One of the chimpanzees, called Pancho, had previously worked in a circus before being donated to the Ucumari Biopark. Second, in Uruguay, scientists are evaluating the rising death toll among marine life. Fish, sea lions, turtles, and penguins are washing up dead on the coasts of eastern Uruguay. Authorities are trying to see if the loss of life is related. Penguins account for the largest population of species that have died. 2,000 penguins were reportedly found lifeless across the coasts, but no avian flu cases have been detected. And now the answer to our news trivia. The answer is C. In the city of Rio de Janeiro, a climate clock is being projected onto the Christ the Redeemer statue. The countdown dramatically shows world citizens the time it has left to limit global warming by 1.5 degrees Celsius, the target set in the 2015 Paris deal. Climate activists say an increase above that number would lead to catastrophic consequences. The clock is counting down the 6 years we have left to reverse the effects of climate change. And that's it for this week. We'll see you again soon on Latin America Now.